Good evening and welcome to the Magic the Gathering weekly Wednesday standard event hosted here on Speed Gaming. I will be one of your commentators, Mike1780. Joined with me is Elvin Cloud. How are you doing, bud?
I'm doing fairly well. How about yourself, Mike?
I'm doing alright. I've been sitting through some standard today, and I figured I'd jump on this commentary tonight, and I'm really excited to see what M20. I know the meta has been developing over the past month or so, and I'm really excited to see some of these decks that I haven't actually been able to see the meta recently. So,
from my own play of standard, I'm kind of excited to see where the meta goes, especially after rotation. But as of the moment, there are still occasionally a few rogue decks coming out that completely blow me away. There was a Jeskai Angel deck that I saw the other night that took a tournament. So who knows? We'll see what we come across tonight.
Now, so for our newer viewers that may not know what a rogue deck is, can you explain just a brief description of what a rogue style deck is?
Sure. So rogue decks are a term for decks that are not considered in the metagame. Meta or metagame is like the standard set list of decks that people are playing, such as like mono red and Esper control, blue, white, black. So usually at any time in a format, there is a list of decks that are meta, and that means that a lot of people play them. There's a large percentage of players that understand what are in the decks typically. Rogue decks are decks that are usually not as good, but they are tooled to beat the decks that are meta. So on their own, in a vacuum, they're not as good decks, but they are meant to beat the decks that are meta and just kind of play on those percentages. So,
gotcha. Is there one that we might be looking out for tonight for going against a particular meta deck?
Jeskai Angels has really good matchups. The Jeskai being white, red, blue. And it took a tournament, I think somewhere in the south. I can't remember where I saw it. But it's been popping up on the ladder for me in the diamond brackets. So who knows? Somebody might be grabbing that deck list and tweaking it to make... it has good matchups against a couple of the really popular decks, especially dinosaurs. So...
Gotcha. So what kind of flavor of deck have you been playing? I know we talked about this off stream, but let's start talking about Magic. Let's get some of these people hyped. Like, what are you playing?
I have been playing a lot of dinosaurs because they're great and because Sky has encouraged me to play them, and the matches aren't very long. Dinosaurs are fun, particularly just because you get big creature down with lots of trample. Allows you to close out a game very quickly. But also, I have a love for what we call jank. And jank is generally bad decks that do really clunky things. And Lo-Fi Vibes is in the chat right now. She can confirm that I decided to pilot a deck that would work a lot better in paper, not in Arena. And yeah, I broke Arena. It had 1 hour and 40 minutes of the stack clearing all of the triggers.
That's insane.
Yeah, there's a highlight on my channel of me playing Solitaire as it's going, and it's at 3,000% speed. It's pretty good.
That's insane.
Yeah, so that sort of thing.
I love playing jank too. I've mostly been playing Gruul elves. So I've been playing particularly. There's a couple cards that came out in Dominaria that are Halar, the Fire Fletcher, and Marwyn, which combo together. You're basically creating infinite mana with Marwyn, and then using Beast Whisperer, you can like combo Beast Whisperer with Marwyn, get more counters on Marwyn, draw cards. Then you use Gift of Growth, so you untap Marwyn, and then combo that with Halar with the kicker of Gift of Growth and the other cards like Shivan Fire. It's just basically a huge combo deck for creatures.
Yeah, those decks are really fun. I definitely like creating ways to do infinite mana or draw through your deck. The two jank decks that I've been playing, the one that I mentioned earlier, its whole combo is based around a card that came out in Ixalan that we've tried to make work many, many times. And it's called Arcane Adaptation. Arcane Adaptation, yeah, it makes all of your creatures into one creature type. And I made all of my creatures angels. And then M20 introduced a card called Bishop of Wings that whenever a creature of yours dies and it's an angel, you create a spirit. And
one spirit, correct?
Which is now an angel. And so when it dies, it creates angels. And yeah,
that's dirty.
And so then I finished it out with a card called Kaikar. It's a 3-mana legendary that says sacrifice a spirit, create 1 red mana. So I sacrifice an angel spirit to get 2 if I have 2 Bishops of Wings, and then I sack those to get 4, and I have infinite mana and infinite tokens, and it was a lot of fun.
Dirty. Well, here we go. We're going to be getting into our first game of the night. The Seawolf 1 versus Uncle Drake. Some couple staple players here in our community, and I don't know. I'm excited to see what both these players are going to be playing tonight.
It looks like Seawolf is playing Esper Angels. I've seen a few matches around that, and we got Elementals from Uncle Drake.
Okay.
With
so
M20,
what can we expect to see from the Elementals? I know I've played against a couple of them. The Reef.
Yeah,
card seems really good.
M20 printed Risen Reef, and Risen Reef is just absolutely absurd. If that card goes unanswered, that elemental deck will ramp to the point where it is unstoppable. He could probably draw through most of his deck and get a giant board that Esper can't answer, which is why we saw Seawolf immediately target it with the Thought Erasure there. But it has other ways to ramp with Nissa there, for example, getting your lands to produce additional mana and also turn them into creatures, and finishing out the game with Chandra if all things go bad. It's a one-sided board wipe with the fact that it doesn't hit elementals, but it does do 3 to everything else. So
Baby Teferi on board. I don't think we're gonna be seeing any like super synergy against Uncle Drake with this card, but I can see this card being kind of annoying to deal with.
Yeah, I don't see any big issue with it right now. Baby Teferi just makes it so you really can't do anything at instant speed, but I don't see that deck list having too much of it other than maybe in the sideboard. That card is insanely powerful, though, even without its passive. 3 mana for a bounce a permanent, draw a card, and then it requires an answer like Omnath. It's just really good value.
Different skills, Sorin. So Sorin, we're gonna see the second Planeswalker coming out here for Seawolf. I don't know. Well, based off of what both players have in their hand, it looks like we're kind of just missing a piece. I see Seawolf scratching the dog statue over there.
Yeah, the elemental. I believe it's actually a cat, but
cat statue.
Either way, is little elemental animal.
Little boy.
Yeah, Sorin is kind of. I love and hate Sorin. Sorin has a lot of potential there, and he's got the pieces in his hand, but they need to be in the graveyard to really get a big benefit, which he's going to start fetching right now. It looks like Tithe Taker. But Sorin's also just a good counter against like mono red and any sort of aggressive deck because he gives lifelink. But he feels weak on his own, so we'll have to see if he can ramp into something.
I don't know what to super expect from Seawolf's deck. I know that this like mono white splashing black can be difficult to deal with, especially with the Lyra Dawnbringer in hand. Just need the 1 more land for it, but
that's a big effect for Uncle Drake there. Getting the angel off the board without dying with Lava Coil means that he doesn't have to deal with the 1/1 tokens and the value associated. Also, Sorin can't bring it back. So, but so yeah, no. Oh, sorry. Seawolf is going to be trying to just grind value via cheap creatures that have death effects, like Tithe Taker giving a 1/1 spirit, and the Angel giving 2 and then trying to use Lyra as a lord for all of his angels, and Bishop of Wings also making his angels produce more tokens. He's kind of really behind on board here against elementals, though, so he's going to have to draw something really good here.
So what is the effect of the multicolor card currently on Uncle Drake's side? I really can't make it out with the restream.
Oh, sure.
Help me with that.
So Omnath is a legendary elemental. When it comes onto the battlefield, it does damage equal to the number of elementals you control to any target. And then whenever he plays a land, he can put a +1/+1 counter on an elemental he controls. And if he has 8 or more lands when he plays that land, he also draws a card.
Wow.
It's a nice little Lord effect, recurring value, and on top of it, it also can blow up a target like a Planeswalker. As I said earlier, Chandra being a board wipe that's one-sided. Against everything but the mirror match, you're going to see entire boards die to Chandra when she comes down, and she can't be countered.
So this is just like a straight up better time lapse at this point.
Pretty much. Yeah. Not to mention she has just other ways to kill you too. Her +1 makes an emblem on you, which you can't interact with, that makes you take 1 extra damage every turn. And she can exile things with her -X. So she's just good all around. And with how much blue is currently running around, her not being counterable makes her a very dangerous threat.
So kind of we're not so much in a holding pattern right here. Uncle Drake definitely has a stronger board presence than Seawolf, but the way that this game is looking, Uncle Drake is looking like he's going to take this game 1 in a couple turns here if Seawolf doesn't just have an answer to that 6/7 that's on board.
Yeah, he's going to... I question the attacking with Cavalier of Thorns here, but that's because he doesn't... I don't know. The Cloudkin Seer here is going to be his main defense for Chandra. Chandra is going to be one of his main value engines right now, but for Seawolf, if he can somehow clear Chandra, he has value with Bishop of Wings and Resplendent Angel. Resplendent Angel making it so you get an extra angel every turn if you gain a certain amount of life. Could get him back into this game, but it's going to be very hard with the 2 Planeswalkers over there. Also, Chandra here, if she's left unanswered, can exile Lyra if he gives an emblem right now. So we'll have to see if he can find a way to deal with it.
This is going to be very interesting, giving double green, but I don't see it being too much value other than just getting more creatures on the board for the Alpha Strike. We have the Forest in hand, but overall I think it's just getting the more creatures is going to be very good.
Well, there's a Mortify, but I don't see that doing anything immediately, especially with the Seer there to block.
Yep. Chandra surviving another turn, Lyra getting the very good 5 life back to Seawolf.
Yeah, and he does get the token here, but it looks like Lyra is probably going to be exiled by Chandra here. I think it'd be worth killing Chandra for the -5. Or maybe not. Cavalier Thorns does have reach. He might just emblem here.
So why he tapped Cavalier of Thorns last turn.
He attacked with it, yeah.
Yeah.
But now that he doesn't have a flyer, he's gonna have to try to protect his stuff.
Yeah, and I think that the play here from Uncle Drake is just plussing Nissa, getting another creature land, and then passing, kind of trying to hold off, seeing what we can get from the draw next turn. But
the problem is Seawolf is building a very large board very quickly. Actually, I think the answer here is probably getting rid of Resplendent Angel, because it's going to keep producing 1 extra token every turn, and he can't deal with that many flyers.
Right.
Now, I have seen the Elemental deck run Mass Manipulation before, and that would allow him to steal a bunch of threats, especially with Nissa's extra mana. But I don't know if his deck list includes that.
Yeah, the 2 extra red mana is going to be just 1 extra creature, so yeah, that'd be pretty value, honestly.
Oh, he did choose to kill Lyra, so his Angels now lose lifelink and the +1/+1. However, Resplendent Angel can give herself lifelink, so it's kind of a moot point.
Now the +1/+1 is going to be kind of valuable, because now if we have creatures that are going to be able to block the targets that lost the +1/+1, that's probably pretty big value.
Yeah, killing the Reach here is going to be very big. However, Cavalier of Thorns is going to allow him to pull a threat from his graveyard and put it on top of his deck. I can't see the target.
What could we be seeing the threat be?
It could be even Risen Reef, just because it generates incredible value. I couldn't see what he targeted out of his graveyard there. But Risen Reef would allow him to escalate out of control if Seawolf does not draw an answer to it.
So it looks like we're going to be losing the Nissa here.
It is the Risen Reef. What do we draw? Lava Coil. Well, that looks like Resplendent Angel's probably going down.
Yeah. Absolutely. So now we just have a 4/4 flying token to deal with that does not have lifelink.
Yeah, the Lava Coils are being really, really clutch for Drake here because instead of just killing the Angels, he's also exiling them, which means Bishop of Wings can't trigger. And it also looks like he added a spicy card there, Lazav. If he gets a Bishop of Wings in the graveyard, Lazav can copy a Bishop to get more and more tokens. But Lava Coil's doing him justice, so.
Yeah.
Yep, another Omnath. He's gonna Legend Rule himself here, which is gonna make him choose one of his Omnaths to keep. However, it's gonna trigger Risen Reef, so he can look at the top card of his library, maybe play an extra land, draw an extra card. So.
Withdraw land there, it's pretty rough.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the nature of dead draws sometimes.
The Druid Omnath Stomping Ground. Druid going to trigger the Risen Reef, I believe.
Yep. And this is part of the reason why Risen Reef is such a powerful card. Yeah, it's a 1/1 for 3 mana, but on its own, it triggers its own ability when it comes in, and if you keep it for 1-2 extra turns, you can just run into large amounts of ramp and draw, especially if you hit a second Risen Reef off your first. That's why this deck is so incredibly popular. You get a big board, and it's a powerful effect. So we see the Angel dying there, giving him 2 1/1 tokens off of his bishops. However, not much of a match for those big elementals.
Right. Risen Reef, triggering Omnath.
Yep. Risen Reef triggering again for more and more land.
So it's not looking like Seawolf is going to win this game. So what are we going to be seeing sideboard-wise coming into game 2?
Aether Gust is going to probably be one of the things we might see sideboarded in. Aether Gust being a really good blue spell here that can bounce a red permanent or a green permanent to the top or bottom of the deck. The person that owns the permanent gets to choose. It looks like he does not run Aether Gust. Huh. looks like he's going to be moving in Noxious Grasp, which is allows him to kill green permanents and gain a life.
Not bad, considering that there's a lot of multicolor green cards being played here, especially for the ramp, the Risen Reef, Omnath, all of these cards.
It also hits Planeswalkers too, which is really nice. Yeah. And then for Elementals, Elementals is probably going to side in Fry. Fry is an uncounterable burn spell for white or blue. And it hits Teferi, which is one of the big things.
Okay. But we already discussed that Teferi is not going to be such a huge threat. Maybe it's going to be a big threat coming to this game too, but I don't think if we're going to see too many instant speed spells coming in here.
Nah, and I've seen some of these Angel lists actually including Big Teferi, which is the only reason why I thought it might be sideboarded in, but it doesn't look like it.
We're seeing Thought Erasure, Seraph Scales, Baby Teferi, Noxious Grasp.
That's a tough keep for Seawolf. I probably would have mulliganed that hand. Not having an untapped land for 2 leaves you kind of open. You can't Thought Erasure away some of the turn 3 threats.
Right, because this leaves this Chandra play open for turn 3, because you could have gotten rid of that turn 2, or you maybe allow that and get rid of the 6-cost Chandra, depending on how worried you're about going late game.
The other big issue is that not having more than 2 lands in a deck like that is very rough. Your mana base is already kind of stretched. Ravnica made that easier, but you really need to hit your 3rd and 4th land drop in a mid-range deck like that.
Very true. Yeah.
Thought Erasure did fix that a little, but it's going to come in tapped, so that's rough to see.
So, depending on what Seawolf draws here, we either could get the 3rd land off the top, and if we don't, what are we going to be seeing for just the 2 cost here?
He does have a 3rd land. 3rd land on top right now is Isolated Chapel, however, it's coming tapped. But what do we even want to see here as Seawolf? He's facing down the aggro plan right now. They're both kind of stuck on lands right now. It looks like Uncle Drake missed his land drop as well. But he's probably going to just try to find a way to deal with Chandra, and then ultimately the big green stuff. He does have Noxious Grasp in his hand, which is probably the big reason why he kept. Yeah.
Some top deck land for Uncle Drake here. So we're going to be seeing nothing be played here. Collision Colossus isn't. Maybe we played that for our elementals that were coming out, but
yeah, it's more of the aggro plan or killing a big flyer. He's probably holding a collision for a big angel like Lyra or the like.
Seraph Scales, Resplendent Angel, try to get rid of some of those cards.
Exactly, and he can also recur it with Chandra. Chandra's -2 is playing an instant or sorcery out of your graveyard. So he can get more and more value out of it. Although that Cavalier of Thorns is a giant threat. Luckily, Seawolf does have the ability to exile it with D-Spark, but...
So we're kind of just holding on right now by our coattails for Seawolf. It's another tap land here, fortunately, or check land.
Yeah, unfortunately, just... That's the problem with both Esper and Grixis right now. Esper being blue, white, black. Grixis being red, blue, black. Both of them have really good control bases, but their mana base is really, really hard to pull off. So you'll see a lot of situations like that with a control deck. Or even mid-range, like this one is. I'm kind of surprised that we didn't see Hero in that list. Most Esper decks right now that are not pure control are running Hero. I forget what it is, but it gives
Hero
you tokens.
Dominaria. No.
I always forget his name.
Hero Precinct 1?
Yeah, Hero Precinct 1, thank you. Just with how many multicolor spells he has, normally you see more tokens, but I guess he's going more for the control command the Dreadhorde build here. He wants to grab a bunch of elementals out of his opponent's graveyard, so.
Absolutely. So now we have the same situation as last game. We have the Nissa being able to create the land creatures and the Chandra creating those elementals. Seawolf has gotta be... Okay, Godless Shrine, not terrible. Still another tap land, but... Okay, D-Spark on the Nissa. That's gonna be slowing down the number of creatures that are being created. But
yeah, he's pretty much at this point hoping that Uncle Drake plays another Cavalier of Thorns or something like that mills himself, so he has more targets for Command the Dreadhorde. But he also has to find a way to keep his life up at this point, otherwise Command the Dreadhorde's a dead card. You have to pay life to bring all those things back. But with the pressure of the 3/3 land there and Chandra making tokens every turn, I'm not sure how he's going to do that, especially against the second Chandra that's going down.
big 6-cost Chandra hitting the field here.
Yeah, there's Seawolf's on the clock right now, and it's not a very slow clock either. I want to know why Drake didn't attack with the breeding pool first, but minor mistake.
Seraph of Scales.
Fairly good card, however. It dies to Chandras, and lots of other things too. But he's kind of on the ropes, he has to do something.
It's not a bad card if we're trying to stall the Afterlife. 2 can definitely be giving us a couple of options to help defend ourselves. This is why we're going to be keeping back the breeding pool on Uncle Drake's side, I'm assuming. We don't really want to lose our lands.
The Omnath is going to hit it now, and Chandra can actually minus to destroy the tokens as well, because they're not elementals. So yeah, it's looking like Uncle Drake's got this one wrapped up.
It's a rough game for sure.
Yeah, the fate of keeping the 2 land checks, it puts you very, very far behind elementals, and the deck is very explosive.
Right, and I'm surprised, like you were mentioning earlier, that we didn't see a mulligan, especially with the new London mulligan rule.
Yeah,
it would have been nice to be able to do mulligan again, see if we can get our not 2 check lands and slightly better hand.
Yeah, I think that was definitely one of those things that it comes down to inexperience or just afraid to use the new mulligan. It's very strong, and if you run into a hand like that, especially in a deck that requires land, it'd be worth pitching back and losing a card. So.
Alright, Command the Dreadhorde. See if we can find the defense that we need.
That's not really
anything. Exactly what we're thinking, but gotta do what you gotta do. And we get a Godless Shrine. It's not gonna do it. That is the concession from Seawolf. GG to Uncle Drake with a 2-0 victory over Seawolf.
Yeah, I think Elementals has the general better matchup against that version of Esper. I think that the Hero version or the Control version has a more even matchup against Elementals because it has more board wipes and that sort of thing. But it's really hard to deal with the one-sided board wipe of Elementals and all of the sources of exile that Red has right now when you are relying on your Undying or Afterlife effects, excuse me.
I agree. So, while we wait for Game 2, a quick announcement from Speed Gaming. Speed Gaming is going to be hosting Speed Gaming Live October 24th to 27th at Herndon, Virginia. We're going to be featuring tournaments such as A Link to the Past Randomizer, Super Mario Maker 2, Ocarina of Time, and many, many more games. If you are interested, make sure you check it out. There's going to be prizes from $3,000 prize pool for Super Mario Maker 2 and A Link to the Past, Ocarina of Time, and then other smaller games that are going to be $100, $150. Optional online qualifiers for those who are interested. Make sure you guys check it out. There's going to be a lot of interesting stuff being run there. So quick again, October 24th to 27th. Make sure you guys check it out. So game number two, series number 2.
We got Cliff versus... I don't have the schedule.
I don't either. I'm asking currently. Clifford versus Uncle Drake for series number 2.
Alrighty. I wonder if we're going to see the same deck out of Uncle Drake or not.
I would be surprised. Normally what we've seen here on the instant speed stuff is we'll be seeing multiple decks probably from other people, either trying to test other stuff out, but I would be not very surprised if we see the same deck from Uncle Drake.
Yeah, just taking a quick glance at the meta game right now and what decks are being played. Esper, I believe, is still number 1. Oh, it looks like actually the other deck I forgot to mention earlier is Scape Shift. It's a deck that creates a bunch of zombies from its lands, and that is actually number 1 played, and I can't believe I forgot it. So yeah, in order, it's Scape Shift, Vampires, Dinosaurs, Esper, and Mono Red are the top 5. But there's a lot of other little decks running around there. Some pretty interesting, some obnoxious in my opinion, but it's actually a pretty diverse meta right now.
So Mono Red still being the runaway Steamkin, and yeah, that deck is nasty.
Light up the stage, Runaway Steamkin, the Chandra from War of the Spark that allows you to exile cards off the top of your deck, and just absolutely absurd draws that deck can pull out. It can win games it does not deserve to win out of nowhere, and that's why people play it. I, myself, playing it, was losing, had my Frenzy stick for a turn, and then I did 17 points with no cards in hand.
Naturally.
Yeah, it's just an absolutely insane deck. You either just win or you fizzle out. And yeah, the God Frenzy, yep.
The God Frenzy. GG's to Seawolf, we see in chat.
Yeah, those were some rough draws, Seawolf. I don't know how you could have really done anything different there.
So series number 2 out of 3 series that we're going to be seeing tonight here. Clifford has the option to play or draw.
Usually everybody plays.
It's smarter to play, but having an extra card is definitely an option. So if you ever go to locals, make sure you remind your opponent that having an extra card is very nice.
Yeah, in some like draft and sealed formats, I choose to draw, but generally constructed playing is the better choice.
Yes, it's very true.
Ooh, I know what he's playing. That is a very spicy deck there, Clifford. So this is Mardu, Mardu being white, red, black, and it's going to be a deck full of tokens and sacrifice effects and just try to rush down his opponent, especially with the new knight there that you see.
Now, I played against this knight card earlier, and I see it being very niche. Its effect for making it like pump ability is very good, and then its also ability to just give it +1/+1 counters is kind of interesting.
The knight is fairly impressive because there's a lot of ways you can trigger it, and a lot of players are realizing that you can trigger it just from your own cards too. It doesn't say which player loses life; it's any player that loses life during that turn. So you can give your vampire, I forget, Adonto Vanguard indestructible and pay the 4 life for it.
-4 life, indestructible, trigger onto. Yeah, that's very spicy.
Yeah, and then if you get multiple on the board and you get a couple hits in, they become a big threat. And only for a mana, it's an incredibly powerful card.
Very interesting.
So
Yeah,
Tajik... Oh, sorry. Tajik here giving the board Mentor, which is a fairly good ability there, making his board bigger. And also on top of it, preventing non-combat damage is going to be huge against the sort of mirror match here. The Mayhem Devil on the other side of the board that does damage whenever things are sacrificed is going to be practically impossible to clear Clifford's board because he can't do damage that way to the board. So, yeah, that seems like a scoop to me.
So it's interesting that we're seeing a mirror match here because with all the meta going on, it's not like this deck is super like up there in the meta.
Yeah, no, Mardu isn't played a whole lot. Just quickly glancing, Mardu is 1% of the meta. So it's not a very popular deck. It is played,
Yes.
but part of the problem is the
Very
mana
good.
base. Yeah, the mana base is part of the issue because you have inconsistent draws. But otherwise, though, it's another one of those decks that can just win out of nowhere if you have a good draw. So
Very good. So, just waiting on Uncle Drake here to finish sideboarding. I can assume that both players are going to be doing similar sideboards because they are running, I would assume, the mirror match.
yeah, they have. It looks like similar versions of the deck. Although Clifford is running Feather. I haven't seen that in Mardu, but I don't know if Uncle Drake is running the same setup.
Okay, 2 Blood Crypts is pretty rough here against the mirror match. Definitely good mulligan there.
Oh, going to 5.
Go to 5. That is not a terrible keep, Sacred Foundry with Cliptopper Treat.
Yeah, you don't have your black source, but you really can't go to 4 and have a reliable chance to win. So
Okay, I think you you tap the Blood Crypt, then you play the check land, get the
he might play this Sacred Foundry tapped. Depends on what he draws here. He doesn't really have a 2-play. Sure Strike only hits a creature and makes it bigger.
right.
He's staring down a Dreadhorde Butcher, and he's going to be staring down a second one here, most likely. That's a scary board to be looking at as Clifford.
Yeah, it's rough, especially when you've got Cast Down, Moment of Craving in hand for Uncle Drake. We've got some very good spot removal in case, the 4-drop comes out, which I would assume we would be seeing if Clifford draws the ideal draw, which there it is.
Yeah, Cast Down can't hit Aurelia, but any other draw in the meantime, it's looking pretty bad for him. And not to mention I don't know why Uncle Drake didn't play the second Butcher. I think he pressed the advantage there.
Yeah, I agree. I don't understand why, but he had to have been kind of expecting to play the Cast Down in the Moment of Craving on their turn 2.
Legion's End is running around right now. It's a black spell that exiles a creature of 2 or less and all copies of it from hand and battlefield. He might have been afraid of that.
Yeah, okay.
But it being in your hand doesn't help, though, because it also gets rid of that. So I don't know. I don't know what he was playing around.
Yeah, we gotta play the Aurelia here. Only
Yeah,
play we've really got. It's a really late Dreadhorde Butcher too, so I can't see Clifford playing that over some of these.
Absolutely not. Yeah,
other
he needs
cards.
blockers. Oh, that
rough.
I think that's game.
Hate to see it happen.
Such is the nature of mulligans, though.
Yeah, it's especially against, this is more of an aggro deck, so the harder you mulligan, the more damage you could be doing to yourself, which I don't blame him for mulliganing down to 5 because we had 2 check lands, but it's rough.
Yeah, it's two different builds of the same deck, too. Uncle Drake's deck is more the traditional beatdown, minus the widespread brutality. That's an interesting little tech. But for Clifford here, he's trying Feather. Feather is a angel that recurs your spells whenever you cast a spell on your team. It's very powerful, but I'm not sure if I would include it. It's an interesting choice, at least. Yeah. Unfortunately, nothing Cliff could have done that match.
Yeah, I don't blame him at all. So, game 3, mirror match. I don't think that we're going to be seeing too many deck changes from both players.
Looks like Clifford's putting in more removal, but that's it.
Which is interesting because he's going to be on the play. And so when you side in removal on the play, you're kind of sacrificing the ability to have that aggro, the land, the extra land, the aggro. So I don't know if that's actually the play here.
I think he's trying to blank some of Drake's spells along the way. He's trying to become more of the mid-range control deck for the last game. We'll see if it pays off, especially with the double hero hand. This could be absolutely insane if Drake doesn't determine that to be a big enough threat. Although, anybody wise enough would know to kill that thing, which he did.
So, nothing on 3. We got Sorin on forward. No Dreadhorde Butcher play. Cast down coming out.
Yeah, you can't let a hero sit unanswered.
Yeah.
Unfortunate for Cliff that there was 2 removal spells in hand, but such is the nature of the colors.
So, double Dreadhorde Butcher coming out here.
Yeah, I mean, neither deck is going to be running mass removal as far as they're thinking. We did see a widespread brutality out of Uncle Drake, but that's not a standard card to have in the deck. So if I was Cliff, I wouldn't suspect it. We don't see it in hand, so we're probably not going to see it this game, but that would be the answer to draw.
So now the question is, double Dreadhorde Butcher attack into here. Sacrifice 1 against the Flameblade Artisan. Get the 3/3. Do not even 2 damage when I block with the 1/1.
Honestly, if I was Cliff here, I wouldn't have shown the Sorin. Yes, you lose the lifelink, but you're not behind on life too terribly, and it would probably make his opponent not want to block as much. I don't know. Because he can fetch them out of the graveyard now. I'm questioning those blocks, but...
Yeah, so that's kind of what I was assuming was going to happen, and just to prevent the bigger Dreadhorde Butcher from coming out, assuming you have something that is in hand. So now Angrath in the board, we're going to be forcing a discard, and I'm assuming we're going to discard the second Sorin, keeping the Knight of the Ebon Blade, or Ebon Legion.
I think he might discard the Knight because having the seconds... He
took control.
Treasoned it. Oh, yeah, because he can now...
the minus effect.
Yeah, blocking...
Sacrificing it, yep. Then we're oh my god, what a big play here. What a pseudo board wipe. That's interesting.
Well, that worked out very well for Uncle Drake. That is a very well done way of playing that out. My only other critique on this is if I was Cliff, I would have probably taken the hero of Precinct 1 over the Dreadhorde Butcher the first time he activated Sorin, just because your Dreadhorde Butcher is going to have haste anyway, and you'd like to get more tokens, but...
Well, minor things here or there. I think the overall objective just to try to be aggro. And there's the second Dreadhorde Butcher, so having that again on the field is going to be very good.
Well, Cliff doesn't know about the Chandra on the other side, and Chandra is going to be a lot of reoccurring value. But since Mayhem Devil is dead now, that is going to make it much harder for Drake to come back. Combat trick actually working out very well for Cliff here.
It's 4 mana for the Knight buff, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Or 3, I think, actually. Hold on.
I can get up.
Card Knight of the Ebony. 2 and a black. So 3.
So, yeah, 3 overall.
For +3/+3 Death Touch, which is super solid.
Cast down Dreadhorde Butcher, dealing the damage to face.
Trying to pressure that life total.
Big Judith.
Oh, man. Do you even play Judith here?
I don't think that you play here. I think you swing at the... Well, not knowing what's in hand, you swing to face. Knowing what's in hand, you swing at the Chandra.
Yeah, I don't remember what's in Drake's graveyard right now, but oof.
Okay, so we're gonna be losing the Chandra, bringing back Angrath's Rampage. That'll get rid of the Knight. So now we have Judith to deal with this Dreadhorde Butcher, which is a viable blocker, 100%.
It's a top deck city right now for Drake. Cliff definitely has the life advantage, and as long as he doesn't just keep hitting lands, I think he might be able to close this out. Somebody build Drake a boat, because he's looking like Noah over there with that flood. That deck doesn't run very many lands either. It's like 22 or something. So
more than I run in any of my decks.
Yeah, seeing 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh man, an 8th land? Are you kidding me?
That's rough.
Shuffler, please.
I think this is just that's game because there's nothing you really can do.
Yeah, that scoops it up right there. Unfortunate way for it to end, but such is magic.
Yeah, that's a big old GG to Clifford and Uncle Drake. Clifford coming out 2-0 against Uncle Drake. Mirror match was very interesting to watch, especially that board wipe from the Angrath. That was a very, very smart play.
Very good play. I've seen Angrath here and there. He's mostly a splash index, but that seems really, really good with Angrath and Mayhem Devil. I have not seen that on the ladder.
Yeah, when I played Rakdos Burn when Spectacle first got introduced, I ran 2 Angrath in the sideboard, specifically because of playing against a lot of mono green stuff. So you would get like the Thorn Lieutenant, you get like the Galtas, and then you're like, yoink, I'm gonna take your stuff on 5, and then you like slap them in the face.
Especially with dinosaurs running around right now, being able to yank a Galta, which is still being played, or heck, even Marauding Raptor makes all of your dudes cheaper to play. There's a lot of really good targets, so I think that Angreth will probably see a resurgence on the ladder.
So the third and final series that we're going to be seeing tonight is Seawolf versus Algernon.
I think it's Algernon, like
Algernon.
The book. Yeah.
Sorry, I've never been good at Hooked on Phonics, so...
It's okay. My parents bought me Hooked on Phonics, so, you know, I'm one of those kids.
Oh,
okay, actually... yeah, I thought I saw white in it, but yeah, you're right. That was just Rakdos versus Mardu. My apologies, Drake.
So it's been interesting to see these games. I haven't been playing too much of M20 meta since it's come out. I've been kind of busy with my own stuff. So actually watching some of these games, the meta kind of develop in front of my eyes is very, very cool to watch.
Yeah, there's been quite a bit of a shift ever since M20 came out. Not always when a new set comes out does it actually make a difference or like a big difference to the ladder. But M20 adding the new lands and a couple other just big creatures and things has shifted it into an interesting place. So,
yeah, I think it's definitely healthier now that the Liliana Dreadhorde decks are kind of not seeing big favor. That's been kind of a big thing for me. Is always seeing those Dreadhorde decks has kind of put me off to playing at the end of the Ravnica block.
Again, me being a big lover of jank and rogue decks out there, I got to Mythic when that was going around just from playing 4 Field of Ruins in every deck I played. Being able to destroy your opponent's lands when they're playing 3-4 colors, when they're not playing any basics, was just absolutely satisfying. But yeah, no, other than that, Dreadhorde was everywhere, and there's very little answers until M20 came out. M20 printed a good sideboard card for it, Grafdigger's Cage. Technically, it's a reprint, but making it so creatures can't come out of the graveyard onto the battlefield.
You know, I've seen that Grafdigger's Cage, and I know that's like that's a reprint, and it's kind of a big reprint. Because I know it's pretty big in like EDH decks, and it's big in like Modern.
Yep. You need to have answers, especially in Modern right now. There's a card called Hogak running around, and Wizards, if any of you are listening right now, why did you print that card? Anyway. But yeah, Grafdigger's Cage is a very good answer. That and like Rest in Peace, it exiles all graveyards, and cards can't go to the graveyard.
Rest in Peace is a solid Magic card.
Yeah, it's one of the few answers really to Hogak out there, and Grafdigger Cage is just kind of our standard answer as well. So it's nice to see some of these. The card I would like to see reprinted very badly is We Need Pithing Needle. Bring back Pithing Needle.
Yes, Pithing Needle is a solid. Oh geez, Legacy Pithing Needle in what is that? Not mono white. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, no, it's also, I think I've seen it in Death and Taxes as well, but...
Yes, Death and Taxes, that's the deck that I've been playing with my friend who is playing Jace Liliana.
Yeah, that would do it. Just Pithing Needle is a blessing. You can hit so many things. You can hit fetch lands, you can hit planeswalkers, you can... it's just
you can negate their entire deck.
Mm-hmm. There is a famous little incident in a tournament where 2 players are playing in Legacy, and it's a top 8 event, and one of the players calls Judge, and the judge comes over, and he shows the judge Pithing Needle in his hand, and he goes, "Can I name Dark Confidant with Pithing Needle?" And the judge goes, "Yes, you can." And so he casts Pithing Needle. His opponent lets the spell resolve as he has 5 counterspells in hand, and he names Polluted Delta, which makes it so his opponent can't sack for any lands at all and locks him out of the game.
That is rough.
Yeah. There's no rule against misinformation.
Yes, that's actually a very big thing in Magic is you call over a judge without leaving the table, because a judge mandatory, if you have a question with a card in your hand, they should be asking you, do you want to step away from the table?
Yeah.
So that if someone does that to you, keep in mind they probably are not going to do what they say.
Yeah, they're playing you. So.
Alright, getting in here in game 1, Seawolf versus Algernon.
I was mentioning this deck earlier, and I was really hoping that somebody would bring it out. Seawolf is bringing out Jeskai Angels. This deck, just out of nowhere, won a big tournament, and or at least top 8'd, I can't remember, but the deck has been featured on a number of articles, and I think it's really neat, so I'm excited to see play out of it.
I like seeing Merfolk being played in my decks.
Yep. It looks like it's going to probably be the standard Explore package, so trying to get extra lands, mill things you don't need. However, that Angel deck is going to run you over real quick if you don't have an answer.
Right. So if people don't necessarily know the Explore package, it is a Wildgrowth Walker, the Merfolk Branch Walker, Jadelight Ranger.
Yep, correct. So essentially the core of it is that exploring allows you to look at the top card of your library. If it's a land, you reveal it, put it in your hand. If it's not a land, you can choose to put it in the graveyard if you like. And Jadelight can do that twice, and then there's an elemental, I forget its name again, but whenever you explore, you gain 3 life. And it gets a +1/+1 counter, so it's a core of a lot of decks.
Adding Path of Discovery to that list would be very, very interesting. Although it is slower, that guarantees you're going to be getting an Explorer no matter what creature you hit.
There's a version of the deck that does do that, and it runs Bolas's Citadel, which allows you to play cards from the top of your deck for life, and you just literally throw your whole deck onto the board.
Their opponent goes, how is this fair? And then they call Judge, and the Judge says, these are Magic cards, and then you concede. Yeah,
pretty much. That's exactly how it goes. Unfortunately for Algernon there, explosive draw from Seawolf, and it seems like no answers. So we're going to game 2.
Quick game 2 here. Keep in mind, we do not have Algernon's point of view. They're not streaming, so we will try our best to give you all the information that we have as professional commentators.
Ooh. Yeah, I think you keep that.
Yeah, so back to Shalai. I don't think we're worried about being targeted, at least from the cards that we saw.
Yeah, so the big thing about this is, in addition to the strong angels that are in this deck, it being in the colors it is, gets access to a lot of cards that counter a lot of decks right now. The big one being there, the Honor Guard in the middle of his hand. That shuts down green-black very efficiently. It makes it so whenever a creature comes into the battlefield, it doesn't trigger effects, which is half of that deck.
Big Vraska here.
Yeah, Vraska's going to kill that right now. There's no way that stays on the board. Yep. However, Vraska's also going down with its Tajik. Yeah, Seawolf is sitting on a lot of value in his hand here. Between the heroes and the number of multicolored cards in his deck, he's probably going to get a large board of tokens.
So the Explorer is going to reveal Wildgrowth Walker on the top of our deck. So the way that the Explorer just happened, for those who missed it, he kept the Wildgrowth Walker on top, getting the +1/+1 counter, and then binned it because
he's looking for something else.
Yeah, usually when you're playing in standard and cards, the fast track is going to be reveal the top card, say I'm going to keep it, and then you put the +2/+1/+1 counters on there. What just happened is he's just like, I'm going to keep it, and then I'm going to get rid of it to make sure that he gets the 2/+1/+1 counters, and then ensures that that's not staying on top to get the next card if it's a different card.
It looks like Algernon is desperately looking for a 6th land for possibly Dreadhorde. But he's got Nissa. He's going to make some 3/3 dudes. That's going to make it a little rougher for Seawolf. Also, he's running those Field of Ruins I mentioned earlier. He's not popping them to hit the greedy mana base of Seawolf, but that's probably because he's behind on board.
Yeah. Field of Ruins. What a card.
It's a really good card against these triple, quadruple color decks, especially with M20 printing even more double color lands. People are just not running basic lands, and so it's a one-sided land destruction. He drew a 3rd. Wow. He could literally blow up probably all of Seawolf's cards. I don't know if he's running any basics at all.
I would be surprised with the colors that are being run here. I would assume that he's probably running 3 or 4 basic planes because of the amount of white that's being seen. But other than that, I think that just run multicolored, check lands, shock lands.
Yeah, if he wasn't so far behind on board right now, he would absolutely be popping every land. He might still. Ooh, Vivian. Not bad.
Okay. Vivian Reed, very solid magic card. Letting you search for threats or just allowing you to get rid of threats.
Yeah, she has a lot of use between fishing for answers to destroying things to her ultimate taking over the game. I'm really surprised I don't see more of her or any of her other iterations really on the ladder anymore. Nis is just, I guess, the strong green planeswalker.
Yeah, the ability to double the amount of green mana that's being produced is
and
very
make
solid.
Threats. Yeah.
And make threats, yeah. That's probably the biggest thing, is getting threats out of your lands, and the doubling the ramp at turn 5 is pretty big.
I think that playing that Lyra might be a misplay here, and the reasoning is that Seawolf doesn't have the mana to give Tajik first strike this turn, which would be the main way to make it so Algernon doesn't want to block, loses lands, that sort of thing.
Yeah, falling into the classic misplay scenario, but you do have the 5/5 Lyra giving you the health back, kind of making it so that you're trying to scrape by on getting what you need at that point.
Yeah, it's more of just a generally you don't show your threats until after combat. It's a pretty
That's very
typical,
true.
Yeah, it's a normal mistake. People make it. Just it would have discouraged the blocks heavily if he had the mana to give it first strike, but. Otherwise, though, he still has a fairly dominant board. He just has to deal with Vivian before she has enough counters to kill Lyra.
Yeah, well, Vivian. Remember, Vivian did destroy one of the creatures on field, so it is going to be quite a few turns until we see the Vivian ultimate.
Oh, Hydroid Krasis, and he does have blue from Paradise Druid, so he could drop a fairly big Hydroid here. What is that? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, so 7. He could make a 7/7 here.
7/7, yeah.
He decided to make it a 5/5.
Yeah, 5/5, keeping the 3/3 land there, keeping the optimal number of blockers. It's a pretty smart play.
I might have done 6 here just for the extra card and life, not to mention making Hydroid Krasis big enough to block the Lyra, although that doesn't matter anymore with the big lord on the board.
Yeah. You probably are right that we should have probably done the 6, getting the extra card, because it is rounded down.
Mm-hmm. Not to mention it would have been big enough to block Lyra when she has first strike, but...
Thrass's Contempt. Very
Contempt's a great draw.
Exiles a card, gain 2 life. Not bad.
Yeah, Algernon's slowly taking over the game at this point. Seawolf is going to need... what does he want to draw here? I don't think he runs a board
Crushing Canopy, holy cow.
Wow, that was sitting in the sideboard.
That has to be a sideboard card. So now we're in trouble if we're Seawolf. We have a huge board presence to overcome. We've got only 4 creatures to deal with blockers, so I think the optimal here, block with the hero, Precinct 1, and then chump block this Jade Light Ranger.
He's gonna, triple block the Jade Light.
And then we're hoping at this point, because we can't play the Lyra, it's just too costly unless we draw another hero.
Oh, and then the blowout with the Assassin's Trophy because...
Trophy is
Oh, he does run 4 basics. All right.
Yeah. It's smart. It's a smart play. You always run some sort of basic for events such as Grow from the Ashes if you ever play it. Assassin's Trophy,
Field of
Settle
Ruin.
Wreckage.
Yeah. Settle's a card that you just don't see very often these days, but when you see it, you're like, oh yeah, that's a card.
Yep. On 4, playing against the aggro matchup. It's a very strong card.
Yep. It's even better when the aggro deck runs it in the sideboard.
That's just mean at that point.
I've been blown out on game 2 that way. I was like, oh, okay.
Get some big cojones on that guy.
Yeah. I happily scooped and just shook my head, but Seawolf's in trouble here. I don't really see a way out. Lyra does give Feather lifelink, but
Command the Dreadhorde is probably gonna finish this game off.
oh no, that definitely closes out the game at this point. He gets the Explorer package and life and ways to destroy things from left to right to center. Yeah, this is game.
Wild Growth Walker, how dare you come in late game?
That's the card that kind of just makes this deck work.
And then Hydra Crisis is staying on top.
Oh man, no, that's a scoop.
Yeah, go pro. This is almost 100% going to a game 3, ladies and gentlemen. I'm facing down this board right now in Seawolf's seat, and I'm thinking, why? Why is this happening to me?
How could this happen to me?
I made my mistake.
I believe my appropriate response is now in chat.
Alright, so that's looking like a scoop to me.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, I think
we've seen the... Sorry, go ahead.
the only real board wipes that deck is going to run is Chandra and Clarion. I guess he was hoping to draw Clarion, but Nissa still closes you out, so I don't really know what you could have done there. Although a trick that deck can run that can absolutely wreck Golgari, which is what Algernon is playing, is 3 Teferi, making your spells instants, and then Clarying on your opponent turn, so you wipe out all of their lands that are also creatures. So it has a chance to just blow out his opponent here, but we're going to have to see what he draws.
Alright, so we're looking like 2 Prism Realms, 2 lands, and 3 other cards that I have not seen before.
Prison Realm. Oh, the Lightning Stormkin. You run that. Interesting.
It's a 2/2 flyer, correct?
2/2 flying haste elemental, yeah. So it's gonna trigger tokens if he has the hero on board. It's also going to give him a hasty threat. The problem is that he's missing blue.
Yes, he is missing blue. So that's 2 dead cards in hand until we find the blue source. Which Sulphur Falls is the blue source.
Oh, yeah, and he hits it, and he does have the mountain, so he's going to try to take the aggression here. He has Prison Realms to back it up. Looks like we're having a race. Ooh, Aether Gust is a big draw here, in my opinion. It allows you to blank a threat and also set your opponent back a turn. Oh, 2 of them? Man.
Wow. That is it's interesting, because I think next turn we blink the Jade Light, play it again, he probably bins some stuff, play it again, set him 2 turns back, especially with his mana pool.
Yeah, he can also do it in response to a spell too, but it looks like he's just going to exile it because he doesn't want
Prison
the
Realm.
extra. Or yeah, Prison Realm it.
Smart.
He's
'Cause
probably
that way-
going to. Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying it's smart because we don't have to worry about the +1/+1 counters or giving them the extra lands in case Command the Dreadhorde gets played again.
Yeah. The other. Ooh, yeah. See, there's a spell
There you
you
go.
want to put back on top.
Sorry,
The big
buddy.
thing is it hits spells. Since it's not just permanents, it allows you to avoid the
Target
activations.
spell or permanent that is blue or green.
Also gets around those pesky words can't be countered, which one of the dinosaurs has right now. Or 2, actually. Carnage Tyrant and Shifting Ceratops.
Does not have hexproof on the stack. Oh, this is
Exactly.
rough.
Yeah, seeing the second Aether Gust over there, I would be shaking my head if I was Algernon.
It's a big table flip in my opinion.
Yep. Because I don't think he's sitting on a 6th land, and he needs the 6th land to Dreadhorde. I don't even think he has that big of a graveyard either.
No. So,
Destroying Prison
Yeah.
Realm?
yeah, destroy Prison Realm, get back J-Light Ranger, get the Explore triggers. 1 land with a Llanowar Elf going to graveyard.
Yeah, unfortunately, his graveyard is not very well stocked with how much he's been set back here.
Although the way that Seawolf has drawn doesn't necessarily show the fact that he set Algernon back all that much.
Yeah, he's just got him on the 2 damage a turn plan. 4 turns left on the clock right now.
Which Deafening Clarion is going to be pretty helpful here.
Yeah, I'm looking at this board right now, and I'm thinking that his best plan is probably to Prison Realm the Wild Growth Walker and clear the Vraska somehow, but I'm not really sure. Unless he draws something threatening, he really can't deal with the life gain.
Feather.
Make 2 1/1 tokens, and then draw a Feather.
Yeah, get rid of this Wild Growth Walker. That's very smart play. Prevent that life gain. Keep ahead with your flyers.
Yeah, you don't even need to necessarily kill Algernon right away. You just need to make sure that he's low enough that a Dreadhorde can't be cast.
So it looks like we're going to be attacking the Vraska, preventing the minus effect. So, with the board is set up, 5 damage, 6, 7 damage in total. So we have to have some sort of blink effect or something to prevent at least 2 damage.
I'm curious what
Crushing
Algernon's
Canopy.
holding. Ah!
Okay, that'll definitely help, but
Keeps him alive for a turn.
sacrifice, draw a card. Cry of the Carnarium.
Wow, huge draw.
Big plays.
Also, tapping that land before you sack it is the right play, and I'm really glad that he did it, because you see a lot of players, even in Diamond, that don't do that. And it mattered.
It does matter, because you have the extra mana in case you need it. So, that's big. So now we are on a 4-turn clock here with the flyer, Wild Growth Walker. If we can see some of the Explore package coming here, this could turn into a very interesting game.
Yeah, so essentially what's going to happen here is either Seawolf is going to have to draw a second threat, or Algernon ends up drawing Jade Light Ranger, and that's going to completely open up the game for him.
If you thought that this game was over, it's definitely not over. And this is a good last series to be ending on here.
Yeah, it comes down to top decks. Yeah, and he has not seen a Jade Light, so there's 4 still sitting in that deck, I almost guarantee you.
Yep, so the draw is how fast do we play it. I don't think it's the card that he was necessarily looking for.
Yeah, I think he would have snap played it, yeah.
So the lines of play: command the Dreadhorde, double Merfolk Branchwalker. Okay, that gives us 6 life, and double Explore. We see Merfolk Branchwalker on the top and a Forest. So next turn we can play another one.
Oh, no, he put it in the bin. He is aggressively looking for something else, or he's going to try to aggro his way out. Or maybe he's looking for another Dreadhorde now that he has some more life and a board.
That's interesting. I'm surprised he didn't keep it on top and then use Vraska, sacrifice a land, pick it up, play it, and then see what was on the top.
Well, he's going to be able to clear most of the board, minus the Wild Growth Walker here. It helps, but it's also a little late.
Ravenous Chupacabra gonna be killing this creature. Seawolf is now on the back foot. Oh, we're in top deck city again. What did Chupacabra choose as the target?
It did not choose anything because Honor Guard made it so it didn't trigger.
Oh.
That's why that card is very good, but he drew it 1 card too late.
What are we doing here? Hydroid Krasis. That's a good card to be playing.
Wow. Big draws over there for Algernon. I actually don't see how Seawolf comes back from a board state like this without running, like Cleansing Nova or... I don't know.
Time Way, Kaya's Wrath. We're not playing black, so...
There's not many good top decks left. Yeah, a Glacial Fortress is definitely not what you're looking for there.
This game is looking quite over. Yep, there's the concession.
Yeah, that's a GG.
Wow. That is a way to end the night. That is very good games from Algernon and Seawolf.
Props to both players there. I mean, really, honestly, there were some good plays all around. Honestly, Top Deck and Cry blew out the game.
Yeah, that Cry of the Carnarium, that sealed the deal. If that didn't come out, that was a 2-turn clock that we were seeing. So... that's crazy.
Definitely a set of GGs there. And happy to see such an interactive game there.
Right. Alright, so that is our last series for the night. Thank you to all of our players and my co-commentator, Elvin Cloud, for commentating with me for this evening.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Not a problem. Do you have anything you want to say to the audience before I do closing announcements and all this?
No, just thanks for watching, and then thanks for experiencing this with us, and I just appreciate you guys having me along. So,
not a problem, man. It's always been interesting to get some new faces in the scene, and hopefully we see you back here, seeing you playing, seeing your jank and more commentary coming from you.
Yeah, I'd love to bring my jank deck sometime soon. Maybe if you guys are doing it again next week, I'll come in with some spicy brews.
Right, and on that note, actually, is very interesting. So, just for you guys, little bit here. Don't be surprised if you see more Magic the Gathering more than Wednesdays. You know, Speed Gaming, Team Instant Speed is actually doing something that we could be getting a little bit more Magic on the Speed Gaming channel. So stay tuned for more information on that. I don't have it all. I've been told that it's, just drop it in there. Just drop it in there. And also, last thing to note is the Speed Gaming live event coming October 24th, 27th in Herndon, Virginia. Make sure you guys check it out. Clifford, I'm sure, will be dropping information for you in the chat. Live tournaments, $3,000 tournaments for Link to the Past Randomizer, Super Mario Maker, Ocarina of Time, plus other various tournaments that are going to be going on during those 3 days. Make sure you guys check it out. It's going to be very, very cool event. First time I believe that Speed Gaming is going to be doing a live event. So make sure you guys check it out. It's going to be very, very good stuff. So from me and all the Speed Gaming staff, thank you for watching. It's been an honor, a great time commentating for you guys, and I hope you all have a good night.